Hello everyone, Lumberg here. Today I'm excited to share a video on just extensions, and we're going to focus on the tiers of extensions and the priority of extensions, what you should build in what order. Um, there are two different types of extensions. The S extension, so let's look it up here. This requires the S blueprint, the S extension, and then everything else is that is a comprehensive extension. You can see the stats that it gives you is attack, HP, and defense. These are actually more expensive in the exchange shop and take longer to get. And so these are this is a great extension, but it just takes longer to get and it's more expensive to upgrade to. Obviously, all the other extensions uses the same blueprint, which is the A blueprints, and there are 5 types of extensions, and they're each designated by a different shape. So if you remove it, you'll see that the slot here, you can see the one that I removed was a weapons extension, which gives you increased attack. And then if you actually connect it, you can see that's the triangle. This one is one of the most important ones because it gives you that attack of long-range troops, the coveted one. Before we get into this, I'm going to cover, and it's going to be in the notes, is that what's really important to understand is in my previous videos, I've talked about the top 4 being the most important ones, and that is still true because each of the top 4 in the first extension slot, when you take it to level 2, it gives you this first slot of weapons extension. So what does that mean? That means that let's look at this level 2. When you take it at level 1, it has no extensions available. At level 2, it opens up this first slot. At level 3, it opens up the second slot. You can see here that I filled it with the reinforcement extension. And then at level 4, as an example here, you can see it opens up the third slot. But now all of these equipment have different slots and different extensions can be plugged into them. So they have a shape, and think of that shape as being only thing that can be used in that shape. So you can see here the circle one is a comprehensive one. Here you can see that this is a what looks like a pentagon. Pentagon is the Vigor one that gives you HP. Here, if I remove this, you can see this is more like a hexagon. The hexagon is a precision extension that gives you increased damage. And that's where I really want to focus on is these stats. So when you look in your stats, most of my other videos I've focused on long range attack. Here you can see my long range attack is 547.3. And then I've alluded to this middle tier category of stats here that I'll highlight to the top. You can see increased damage to long-range troops, 34.3, and then that second group of things, reduced damage taken from each of those type of troops is 22.2. This is where I want to focus this video on. So these are very coveted stats. Of course, you can see that here you can, in your heroes, there's 2 particular heroes that give you those stats already, and that is Zeus gives you damage dealt to all troops, that's 16.4 here. That's his precise shot, that's the baseline. And then Alexandria gives the defense weakness, which is damage taken from all troops. That's the same thing as the reinforcement extension, and Zeus is the same thing as the precision extension. So let's go back to extension because that is all we're going to really talk about in this video. So when you look in your equipment, how you decide to upgrade your equipment is really dependent on what slot opens when. So here you can see when I have this level 2 medic pod, it gives me a Vigor extension, which I haven't filled because I'm more focused on starting off with the weapons, starting off with the precision extension, and then the reinforcement extension. Those are my key things. So in order, it's first fill the weapons extensions, the triangle, which is this, right? The second category would be the precision extension, which is increased damage. Again, it's offensive. The third priority would be the reinforcement extension, which is the damage reduction. And I'm not going to compare the S extension because you should. That's great. It gives you all 3 of the coveted stats of attack, HP, and defense. So as you get those, that's a separate. I'm talking about limited resources of A recipes and getting those A recipes and deciding which ones to make first. But what's really important to understand is that when you upgrade this, so it doesn't tell you, well, what's going to be unlocked. It would have been nice for them to show you the shape so that you can kind of know when I upgrade this medic pod to level 3, what slot's going to unlock, and you're not going to be kept guessing. So I know now that the Medic Pod, when you take it to level 3, actually opens up the comprehensive extension, the circle. Now, if you're trying to determine that, let's try to maximize these center slots where it's either a damage reduction, which is the reinforcement extension, or a damage increase, which is the precision extension, you need to know at what level each one of those unlocks. So here, when you ask players that have already taken their equipment too high, they can't tell you which one unlocked first, right? So in the notes below, I'm going to tell you exactly, just focusing on those two types of increased damage and damage reduction, those two types of extensions, when do they unlock? So good thing to know is that when you look at your mechanical armor here, at level 3, it actually unlocks your reinforcement extension. When you look at your booster here, at level 4, however, is when it unlocks this precision extension. So that's really important to know. That means that when you're deciding, don't take your medic pod to level 3 or level 4 because, the power ore is limited, because that, when you take it to level 3, it will give you a comprehensive extension. So if you have the S slots, great, that's good to know. But at level 4, all it gives you is actually just the defensive extension, which is more defense. So it only gives you HP and defense. So those are still important, but in terms of priority, you want to do those last. And then similarly, this Retrofitter at level 3 gives you, I believe it gives you Vigor extension. So it starts off with, at level 2, it gives you defense. At level 3, it gives you vigor, which is the HP. And then at level 4, it unlocks the comprehensive one. So, but it doesn't have the one that I would ask people to focus on, which is this, right? Reinforcement extension, and even more important is the precision extension. So in terms of, as you build these out, those are the tier of the priority of extensions. I'm going to put those in the notes. And I'm also really saying that, take your droid to level 3, stop there. Take your booster to level 4 so that you can stop there and boost this precision extension. So when you're deciding what to boost and how to build it and what equipment to level up next, keep this in mind. In the top 4, of course, the same thing applies. Each one of them has one of the coveted reinforcement or precision extensions. And I'm just going to tell you here that the radar at level 3 opens up the precision extension here. The radar at level 3 opens up the comprehensive extension, but then at level 4 opens up the reinforcement extension. The apparatus at level 4 is when it opens up the reduction damage or the reinforcement extension. At level 3, it opens up the comprehensive one. So even though you'll look in here, it doesn't give it to you in order of when it's unlocked, right? So no matter what happens, it unlocks it. It always puts the comprehensive off to the right. And then finally, your computer at level 3 unlocks the comprehensive extension, which I don't have filled. And then at level 4, it unlocks a precision extension. So in terms of the most important extensions, I would say the precision extension is the most important. And the reason for that, as I've said in my older videos, is that, your LRA is pretty high, as you can see in the stats. For most people, it's going to be, the thing that they focus on is going to be pretty high. And, a small jump in LRA is a proportionally less of an impact than a small jump in this stat here, the increased damage. So the increased damage is what I would tell people to really, really focus on to get the most bang out of your buck from extensions. And that's really the gist of my summary. I'm going to put in some notes. If you have other questions and need other guides on equipment, I have several of those. But I really wanted to update that, in my older videos, I had said that the bottom 4 is less priority. I want to retract that and say that you still want to take it to the mechanical arbor to level 3, and you really want to focus on this booster to level 4 so that you can get this slot. That slot is extremely important, and this is a great source of hidden power in your attack fleet, in your defense fleet. And fill these out. The last thing I'll say on extensions is that when you look to upgrade extensions and you have these the limited extension components, you can see here is filling it at level 1 is always better than actually upgrading it. So fill these as many as you can at level 1 and then start upgrading them. Of course, you know, you can see here, clearly the bias for me is attack-based. I just like to have that attack kind of like a glass cannon format, so I've focused on that. The last piece of bonus advice that I would give you is that when you're deciding to upgrade your equipment, you know, I would say don't try to get these bottom 4 to orange, you know, because you still want to focus on that top 4. You still want to get these. You want to be at minimum purple, but as you're upgrading it, don't even try to use orange materials to try to upgrade it, right? So I would say focus on getting the top 4 to orange first, because there's better stats on the individual equipment. You know, in this video, as I was talking about the levels, all I really cared about was the slot, right? So even at a level 4, white equipment will still give you that slot, so keep that in mind. That's it. If you have any questions or need any additional advice on equipment, you know, feel free to drop me a note. I'll be happy to research it and get back to you guys. Thank you for your continued support. Love you guys. Take care. Good day.